Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hello and welcome once again to Cheap Shot Entertainment. I'm your host Luke, and you are the Cheap Shot Nation. I'm going to take you through everything that happened at Takeover 36. So, was it a good show? Do NXT continue to be the wrestling version of FedEx? Find out in the main part of the video. Takeover 36 was aired on the 22nd of August 2021 here in the UK. It was the 21st, I think, in the US, because we get it here at 1 o'clock in the morning, which means I didn't stay up for it because I had work. However, I've now finished watching it, and damn, yes, NXT continue to be the wrestling equivalent of FedEx. Yes, it's true. They always deliver. Now, the opening contest was a $1 million championship match right there in front of the Capitol Wrestling Center in Orlando, Florida. Not a ladder match or anything like that, just a straight up wrestling match, and it seems like the $1 Million Championship is finally actually getting a run as a proper championship. It is the $1 Million Champion LA Knight versus Cameron Grimes, and now we've got a stipulation with this match. Now, I've followed this all the way through and I've really enjoyed the storyline. Ted DiBiase being there was really cool to start with, but he's turned face. Ted DiBiase's not face. What are you doing, WWE? Come on, NXT is supposed to be doing stuff right. But Cameron Grimes, great talent. LA Knight, fantastic. Loved his work in NWA before coming to WWE at the back end of the pandemic. Of course, the stipulation is that if LA Knight wins, the $1 Million Man has to be LA Knight's butler. If Cameron Grimes wins, he does not. So what happened in this match? All sorts of things happened in this match. Ted DiBiase was very firmly in the corner of Cameron Grimes, and Cameron Grimes sporting the dollar signs on the side of black trunks, very much a homage to the classic attire of the $1 Million Man. Very simple, but very effective. And this match goes inside the ring, it goes outside the ring, they fight all over the place. They use the steps and everything that is available to them, but ultimately LA Knight would end up losing the championship as Cameron Grimes hits the cave-in, which is the jumping double stomp, and we have a new $1 Million champion. And this one, great opener for the show. Usually there's a tag team match here, but I don't even know who's the tag team champion. Oh yeah, it is. It's those flippy buggers, isn't it? And they're not on the show. They're not on the show. So it makes me wonder. But great opening match. Deserves everything that it gets. There's great storyline being told here. The dynamic between all three of these guys was absolutely fantastic. Followed it all the way through. Thought it was really funny, on the nose, and you know, a testament to WWE's creative in NXT. So what do I think of this match? Well, like I say, it was a great opener, so I'm going to give it 4 cheap shots out of 5. Definitely one of the better openers that I've seen on a show in 2021. We get the Women's Championship next. It is the champion Raquel Gonzalez. I was always going to call her Rhea Gonzalez then, and not Rhea Ripley and Raquel Gonzalez, versus her former running buddy and best friend Dakota Kai, who gave her a drive-by kick in the middle of the ring after proclaiming, "As long as I'm here by your side, you will always be the champion." Great line, great time to turn, and turn she did indeed. Kai gets the upper hand early in this one, knowing that Raquel Gonzalez is the much larger of the two combatants and goes straight after the arm. The power of Raquel Gonzalez. And it appears that Gonzalez is having trouble with her arm all the way through, and this is what I appreciate about WWE programming, because once someone's got an injury, they do carry it all the way through the match and then just pop up from a table, going through a table like nothing ever happened. Anyway, Kai gets a little bit too cocky. She's on top all the way through here, and she gets a little bit cocky. She tries to hit a kick. Raquel Gonzalez catches her. She's perched up on the top rope at this point, catches her and delivers the Chingona bomb from the second rope, and Kai is defeated once and for all. The final boss continues to be the final boss and the NXT Women's Champion. Not quite as good as the opener in my opinion, considering these two have been wrestling together for quite a while. Didn't think there was a lot of chemistry there, but they concocted a really good match with the stature difference between Kai and Gonzalez. So I'm going to give this match 3.5 cheap shots out of 5, simply for that reason. I think given more time they would have been able to have a little bit longer to put together a really, really good match. As it was just a really good match. And like I say, NXT is the FedEx of wrestling. It always delivers. And the third match on the card is what could be considered as one of the greatest matches in NXT history, and it was from the boys and girls over at NXT UK. It was for the NXT UK Championship, and it was Walter versus Ilya Dragunov. And now I've seen both of these guys live. Gotta say, I wasn't impressed with Ilya Dragunov first time I saw him, and that was in WrestleGate over in Nottingham, which is now moved on to be called Wrestle Carnival. Very good shows. Get your tickets over at Wrestle Carnival. Anyway, saw Walter at NXT UK Takeover Blackpool 2, and yeah, both these guys absolutely put on a show. Now, it was good that this match was right in the middle, because the crowd's not quite wound up enough to be oversold, but also appreciated what these two guys were able to put together. Well, what can I say about this match that hasn't already been said? I would suggest you very much watch this one. Ilya Dragunov comes out looking like a black grape, because Walter's chops on Ilya Dragunov's has actually bruised his neck and his chest. That's how powerful Walter's chops were. And genuinely, this match, first time in a long while where I've sat agape at the finish to a match, not expecting it whatsoever, as Ilya Dragunov makes Walter tap out to what is basically his own move. It was a sleeper hold. Now, a sleeper hold is now a rest move. It's never used as a finisher anymore, but to make Walter tap to that is a good finish. I feel like I was not expecting that at all. I was expecting Walter to carry on his reign right past the 1,000 mark, but usually when these things happen in NXT and NXT UK, it means the loser or the former champion is moving on to pastures new. Hopefully Walter will stay with the WWE and move up to the main roster of NXT. But there was very much well written that Walter does not want to leave Europe. So don't know how that's going to work, but we've gone from having an Austrian as the UK champion to a Russian. When is there going to be a UK champion? Who knows? But these two put on a huge offering, and you just got to appreciate it, and I appreciate it so much. So I'm going to give this a perfect score and the Big Boss seal of approval, because I can. And this match was really good. Yeah, I don't want to spoil it for you. Go over to WWE Network and watch it, or by any other means you've got. hopefully paid, and watch this one, take it in, watch every single second. The video package is great as well, and it's just old school WWE doing what WWE does. Next we get the end of an era. Yes, the Undisputed Era. Roderick Strong's now got his own faction in the Diamond Mine. Bobby Fish has been released, or granted his release, and then we've got Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole, very much written about in the wrestling community that Adam Cole's contract is coming to an end. Is this the last match we see of Adam Cole in NXT and WWE? Who knows? But what a way to go if he does, because this match was a 2 out of 3 falls match, where they had a different stipulation for each single match, and the only time, 2 times I can think that this has happened. The first time was Stone Cold and Triple H to end that feud, and there was another time as well, but I can't quite think of when it was, but I will check up on that. Well, basically what you've got is a 3 stages of hell match. Kyle O'Reilly picks a straight up wrestling match, Adam Cole picks a street fight, and William Regal picked the cage match. So definitely very much the same lines as the original. So yeah, what have we got in store for this one? Like I say, 3 stages of hell. O'Reilly picks up the win in the first fall after Adam Cole gets a little bit cocky and reverses the Panama Sunrise into a roll-up and hooks the legs for the pin. O'Reilly goes 1-0 up. Now the reason I go through that very, very quickly is because it was a very quick part of the match, as it should be, because you've got 2 big falls coming up, and you'd expect that the second fall, which is a street fight, to get more time, which it absolutely did. Second fall is the street fight. Now this one, not as brutal as some might think. Obviously they've got a third fall to think about, and it is most likely going to happen, as it always does in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Can't think of many 2 out of 3 falls matches where one person has won 2 falls straight away. Chris Benoit versus Angle, for example. But again, those guys had a huge feud and a really, really good rivalry, much like Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. Obviously these two, Adam Cole's well over, and people are booing Kyle O'Reilly, which, you know, I guess they just love Adam Cole so much that they're just booing the face here. But you know, I'd hope that Kyle O'Reilly actually took that on board and became heel for what it's worth, because put a lot of effort into making this rivalry work, and it has absolutely worked. They've got the rivalry, they've got the history, and it absolutely works. We've got tables, we've got chairs. We didn't see any ladders. We saw kendo sticks, we saw battling on the outside, the railings being used, the stairs being used, battling on the inside, handcuffs being used in the cage match, so that is coming up. We've got chains being used here, where they use it, and it's like a Type A death match. They both wrap a chain around the wrist and just go for it. But ultimately Adam Cole wins the street fight with the last shot after damaging the ribs, and that is the story of the street fight, the damaged ribs of Kyle O'Reilly, which happened quite early on in the fall as Adam Cole knocked his legs out from under him and he landed on the turnbuckle. So that was the focus of Adam Cole all the way through the second fall, and it did come good when Adam Cole hit the last shot after damaging the ribs and continuing to damage the ribs for the pinfall victory. And then of course we go to the last match, which is a cage match. Now what I really appreciate about this cage is that it drops down and then lowers all 4 sides, much like the one on Spider-Man when, oh yeah, the Metal Man, otherwise known as Bonesaw, is ready and gets him for 3 minutes, although this goes on for a little bit longer. Sorry about my bad impression from or of shall we say, the legendary Macho Man. Of course, Cole continues the assault in between the matches as the technical team gather round trying to lock the cage in place, because there's one thing about it coming down from all four sides which looked really cool. You've got to lock it together so it doesn't break. But I did think that was really cool. Or maybe I'm just really sad because that was one part that I really enjoyed about this match. Anyway, the third fall is the steel cage match, and a story here of Adam Cole continuing the punishment to Kyle O'Reilly's ribs. Obviously some of the weapons still inside the cage at the time of it lowering and being secured in place. Adam Cole, being the dirty heel, trying to escape over the top of the cage. Incidentally, I didn't see a door on this cage, so maybe that was one of the things that's been changed up for this one. There's no door where you can escape over the top. Yeah, and genuinely I didn't see the end of this one coming. Adam Cole handcuffs Kyle O'Reilly to the cage and starts beating him up, hitting the super kick once, tries to hit it again. Kyle O'Reilly catches Adam Cole's leg, locks him in a knee brace and gets Adam Cole to tap. Now, people were booing this, but the more I think about it, the more it makes sense, especially if Adam Cole, his contract coming up, we don't know what the status of it is. Of course he's going to lose, and you know, that's fine by me. I don't mind Kyle O'Reilly. He just needs a bit of work on the mic and I think he'll be absolutely fine. Maybe just a heel that doesn't say very much and just beats people up, but it makes sense because Kyle O'Reilly is basically a cage fighter. He knows all of the martial arts kind of stuff, so it makes sense that he would be able to reverse one-handed and lock in that knee brace using the cage, might add, which is very much scripted, using the cage for extra leverage. And that is another thing as well. It's very much said quite often there, if you grab onto the ropes you get more leverage on a move. This worked. It worked so well that I'm going to give this one 4.5 cheap shots out of 5. Not quite as good as Walter Dragunov, but it told a good story and it was a great way to end an era. Sadly. But I've still got my t-shirt, so you know, in 10 years time this is going to be worth an absolute fortune, I think. And this leads us to the main event. We've only got like 17 minutes left of the show at this point, and that's when Joe's making his entrance, followed by Karrion Kross. So you know this one's not going to go a long time. Joe's been out of the ring for a long time, but it's Samoa Joe versus Karrion Kross for the NXT Championship. Now, Joe came over to NXT as the special enforcer for William Regal. The chaos was ensuing and engulfing Mr. Regal, so Samoa Joe offered his support as his special counsel, I suppose you would say. And yeah, just an enforcer, and he managed to do it. He got into a feud with Karrion Kross, and Karrion Kross provoked him. He begged William Regal to reinstate him as an active member of the roster, and William Regal did. And here we are with this match. Of course, Joe has been out for a long time. He would have been training, of course, but you could see it going towards the end of the match. And I tell you, I've worked a 5-minute match at wrestling training, and I was absolutely tated at the end of it. So Samoa Joe going 10 minutes with all the lights and everything else, kudos to him. I don't know how they go for an hour. They're very much conditioned, but this match was very much worthy of being the last match for Karrion Kross on NXT, and Karrion Kross has now gone up to the main roster, where he's been turned into a red version of Demolition. It's like, hey Karrion, this is Vince McMahon. Hey Karrion, we want to bring you up to the main roster, pal, but we're going to turn you into a sex slave. We're going to be Vince McMahon's slave. So if there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll do anything you say. But yeah, lots being said about that. At the end of the day, all they've done is add 2 Cross braces onto his normal wrestling attire. It's not that much different to what he is now, or what he was. And yeah, he's on the main roster. But what a way to go, fighting Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe becomes the only 3-time NXT champion in NXT history, and makes history by doing so. So this gives him time now to get a bit more conditioned for his next fight. Who's it going to be? I don't know, because I haven't watched NXT yet, because we don't get it for another week in the UK unless we've got BT Sports, which I don't have. Now, Samoa Joe eventually gets the win with the Muscle Buster, but there was a trade-off of submission moves, of course. Samoa Joe with the Coquina Clutch, Karrion Kross with the Cross Jacket, 2 versions of the same move, and that was the interesting thing about this match. The jockeying for position when it came to the kicks, when it came to the strikes, and when it came to the submissions. Ultimately, Samoa Joe would win with the Muscle Buster, which he hasn't busted out for a very long time, and that's not just because he hasn't been an active member. He hasn't actually used the Muscle Buster for a long time, and he used it here, and it was good. Bring back the Muscle Buster. I like it. Keep doing it, Joe. Keep doing it. I'm going to give this one 4 cheap shots out of 5. Again, not quite on the same level as Walter Dragunov, but very, very close, and like I say, should be given a bit of leeway here because Joe's only just come back to the active roster. But long live Samoa Joe as NXT champion. Maybe this is a bit like a Finn Balor, where he's using this as a mechanism to get fit again to go back onto the main roster. If it is, then that is absolutely fantastic. Love Samoa Joe, love Karrion Kross, wish him all the best on the main roster on Raw. So join me now for the end of the video. So NXT continues the tradition of NXT always being able to deliver a fantastic show. Also added to that the fact that it finished off SummerSlam weekend, with SummerSlam being on a Saturday and NXT being on a Sunday, and ultimately being a much better show because it was shorter and it had better matches. So between SummerSlam and NXT, who won the weekend? Well, obviously it was always going to be NXT, because NXT are the FedEx of wrestling. I'm going to keep doing that until it becomes a thing. They always deliver, and this show was absolutely fantastic from start to finish. I've never seen a takeover that's been boring, never seen a takeover that doesn't do things correctly. They have the right amount of matches going on for the right amount of time, and it's just well structured. Keep doing it, WWE. Keep going, Triple H. We don't want NXT to ever end. And whilst NXT UK is putting on matches like we saw on this night, which I thought were, and that particular match was kind of wasted on the American crowd. Didn't really get much noise out of them or anything like that. Whereas in the UK, that would have been absolutely phenomenal. I'm just saying, it would have, wouldn't it? Anyway, NXT 36 was a roaring success for me. If you've seen the show, get in contact with us on social media or leave a comment in the comments section down below. I have been your host Luke. You've been watching Cheap Shot Entertainment, and this has been my run through of NXT Takeover 36. I will see you next time. Goodbye.
Hiya.